I remember when I started design, I had to go through like LinkedIn, and then like I had to like look for designers. Like I had to type like Google design, like Facebook design, just to find case studies, like good case studies that people wrote. And then at some point, there's this thing that came out called Cofolios, which is basically a website where you can like find all of the portfolios of everyone who worked at the top companies. Okay, so basically, Ask is a fourth year student at Russia's Institute of Technology. Previously has interned at Instagram on the stories team, and at DoorDash has a client Brickens fellow. In addition to that, Ask you created Cofolios, a website that shows portfolios of designers who went to that top company. Recently, Cofolio launched a feature that allows you to get mentorship from designers. So yeah, thank you so much, Ask you for like joining. You see people. Okay, that's good. So can you just tell us a brief background about yourself and like what you do?
Okay, cool. Yeah. So pretty much I started designing in middle school. So I pretty much like just made a bunch of like posters, and I was just like experimenting with like motion design, After Effects, Cinema 4D. And I did that from middle school all the way up until like high school. And from there, I applied to like all the top design colleges, and I got rejected from every single one. So I went to like some random school in Tennessee to like do design. And while I was there, I was kind of hurt. I was like rejected from all these schools. So I was like, I wonder if it's like possible to get in, like to transfer into these schools. So with that, I pretty much like just like went super hard my freshman year. I like taught myself how to code, and I taught myself more about design, and I took it super seriously, and I also like transferred out into RIT. And yeah, so while I was in Tennessee, actually, I interned at 2 other places, and pretty much my first internship was at this like design agency, and they like taught me like the ins and outs of like product design. And while working there, I just kind of like fell in love with doing product design work, and since then I've just been like interning places and like just like making stuff really. But yeah, just like pretty much my entire like life, I've just been like tinkering and making things that like solve problems for myself and other people.
Thank you so much. Just a question, that's I guess a personal question, but how did you teach yourself how to code? Because I'm trying to do
that. Honestly, so I taught myself, when was it? It was like my sophomore year at RIT. So I went to a hackathon and I found some friends, and we made like this app thing. And I showed it to a recruiter, and she was like, "Oh, this is dope. Like, we'd love to interview you for like our internship in California." And I'm like, "What? Like, I'm down. Like, what do I need to do?" And she was like, "You just need to show us like a portfolio and like some case studies." And yeah, she was like, "When can you get that to me?" I was like, "I can get that to you like in January." And this was like November. And around that time, I didn't know like how to make a portfolio, and I couldn't afford any of like the portfolio websites. So my only option to like get the job was to pretty much like teach myself how to code. And with that, the winter break was coming up. So it was like December to like mid-January. I pretty much sat down every single day from like, it was like 6 a.m. to like 10 p.m. Just like going through like a bunch of tutorials every single day, trying to figure out how to like create my portfolio. And pretty much doing that for like a month straight, I like started to like understand HTML and CSS. But I mean, that's pretty much how I did it. It was just like a bunch of like random Googling. But I think the thing that helped me the most was that I had like a super specific goal, which is to like create a portfolio. So that helped me just like, that like kind of gave me like a goal to like aim for. So that's kind of how I learned. It's just like a lot of like hard work and like a bunch of hours, honestly.
So during your internships, what were the most challenging and most fulfilling part of your role?
I'll start with DoorDash. With DoorDash, there was just so much open space. Like there were so many different problems, like so many different things to solve. And like pretty much in school, I feel like we look at like these like apps like Uber and Postmates or something like that for inspiration, but like at DoorDash, we pretty much just had to look at like the data. So like that was like a big like shift in learning. Like these companies don't have everything figured out, so you have to kind of like create your own solution just using like the raw like metrics and data. So I think that was the biggest learning at DoorDash. And at Instagram, my biggest learning was it was insane to see like how good people are at like design, because like in school you kind of like you can kind of see like people who like stick out who are like super good, and that's like just like in school, but like in the real world, like at Instagram you see people that have been working like with Steve Jobs, like designing like under him, and you see like his work, and like seeing people just like make these intense prototypes and things like that, where it's just like really crazy to me. But I guess the biggest thing I learned at Instagram was craft, and how much you need to like be intentional with all of your design decisions, because like you're designing for like a billion people, which is like super difficult, and just like learning, I guess, how to be more intentional with like what I make and how it might affect and influence like people across the world.
That's really good. So, in terms of Cofolio, can you tell us how you got started with it?
So for Cofolios, so basically after my first internship, the one I coded my portfolio for, I was really trying to get into Google like the next summer. So whenever someone would post like their portfolio in the HH Design Facebook group, and they worked at Google, I'd always like take their like portfolio, look at it, and like see like what Google's looking for. And what I saw in that was that like people that worked at Google usually like have a lot of side projects. So from there, I was like thinking of like how to create my own side project. So I started looking for like problems in my life, like little small things I could like solve. And I pretty much like brainstormed this like over a month, like every single day, just like thinking of random ideas. And I remember that like I had this super long list of a bunch of like Google students and Facebook students, like Facebook interns. And I was like, yo, this could be like, maybe if I made a website that kind of showed these like examples of portfolios. And from there, I just like went on and like used the skills that I learned to build my portfolio to build Cofolios. And it took me like 2 months to build it. I was very doubtful. I wasn't sure if it was going to work or not. Like, it's still crazy to me that like a lot of people still use it. I thought it was going to be like maybe 2 or like 3 or something like that, honestly. But yeah, I was just really inspired by like wanting to work at Google, which I got rejected from. But yeah, it's kind of how it came about. But yeah, now it's like taking its like life of its own, and it's helping a lot of people. So I'm like continuing to build on that.
That's really good. And what is your biggest learning from building Cofolios?
I think my biggest learning was like you can influence the world like with like an idea in your head. I thought that was like just crazy to me. Like it still is to me, like to me right now. How like I can have like this idea, and I can just like write some code and push it out there, and like a lot of people use it, and then like it becomes like a thing. I just think that's like, it's just wild that like anyone has access to that. Like anyone, you know, like if you just like put in the time to like learn how to code, you can like just like make stuff that a lot of people use. You can like really like influence other people's lives, and that was like my biggest like takeaway from like Cofolios. Like it's not just reserved for these like big companies or like people with a bunch of money. Like you just need a couple lines of code and like some like design skills, and you can like make things.
If you had more time, what would you improve with Cofolios?
I think so. That's a good question. I mean, I would just continue to like add value to people getting into design. So like maybe like making like maybe you could like log into Cofolios. You can like talk to students. Maybe you could like there's like maybe it's like a Facebook group sort of type thing that's like baked into Cofolios. So it's like a legit community instead of just like a bunch of links out. I think that's what I would focus on if I had more time.
That's really good. And in terms of advice for beginning to design, so for you, what do you think is the biggest attribute that characterizes good designers?
I feel like good designers are always curious and they're always iterating. They're never like in love with the first solution or like the third solution. Like they just keep iterating and they're not really tied to any design. Like they're just like tied to like they really understand the problem, which makes them design better solutions. So I feel like breaking into design, you just have to like really understand what problems you're solving for, and like the better you understand those problems, I feel like it'll help you become like a better designer. But yeah, on top of that, like iterate a lot, design a lot, try to design every day. Just like it's kind of like drawing. You have to keep doing it over and over and over and over again, and then like you eventually build up all this skill. So that's kind of how I see it.
Who are the best designers you know, and why?
Oh, the best designer. Are you talking about product design, motion design,
product
design?
Like, sorry, I can ask another question if that's too hard.
No, I can. I mean, like, I feel like for me right now, it's kind of hard to like. I mean, after going to Instagram and seeing like how good people were there, it like completely shattered my like reality. I don't know like who's the best, you know, because like after seeing people that have been designing for like 10 years and then like knowing that people have been designing for like 30 years that are like insane, like I don't know, like everyone is like super good. I can't really answer that question, honestly.
No, that's really good. I actually felt the same thing at Google. Like a lot of the time I was listening to like this and I'm like, oh, so who's your favorite designer? And they were like, oh, this guy's like the best visual designer I know, but Mackenzie has like 20 years over you. So like, don't compare yourself.
Yeah.
What makes a portfolio stand out?
So actually, like, I was kind of afraid to release Cofolios because like I was like kind of scared that like once I released it, everyone like would have my trick. Like pretty much I had Cofolios for myself. And like I was like trying to build it out. And I was like, if I like put it out, it's gonna like make it hard for me to get a job. So what I did, and I still think this is like true to today. I don't think a lot of people are doing this. I feel like you should look at like all the portfolios on Cofolios and then make something like the exact opposite. Like for me, when I was building my portfolio was like from like 4 years ago. Like there's literally a guy like waving at you, and it just kind of like throws recruiters off. And I think just like being more unconventional with your portfolio, not just following the mold, is like the best way to stand out. And I feel like Cofolios helps you understand like what the mold is.
That's really good. So what does KP fellowships and Instagram look for in designers?
I feel like KP looks for people that are like self-starters, people that do like a lot of side projects, people that are just like very curious and like passionate about like what they do. And I feel like Instagram looks for just people that are like super intentional, like about like their decisions. I feel like they look for people that are like good at visual design as well. And yeah, I still don't know exactly what they look for, honestly. Like I still question myself, like how did I get in? So I can't like accurately answer that question.
Do you have any interview tips for people? We have a room full of people that are interviewing for internships right now. So what is the ask you advice?
Interviewing. I think what helped me the most with interviewing is just like practicing every single day with like your product pitches and everything like that. Like every single day, like when I was interviewing for Instagram, I practiced literally every single day for it. And it got to a point where I could recite my like project without like the slides. Like I just kind of had it down, like memorized. And I had a bunch of people asking me like different questions, like interview questions. So I kind of felt like I want like that kind of practice made me comfortable in interviews. Like I wasn't like scared or anything like that. So yeah, I think just in interviewing in general, just like a ton of practice. Don't like wing it ever. Always just do like an insane amount of practice, and always have different people looking at your like your portfolio, and like also having people like interview you. So
That's really good. So that's going to be my last question before letting the room ask questions. So if you had to do
okay.
something, say if you have to go back in time and do something differently, what would you do differently?
I think so. I'm gonna go back pretty far. Like let's say like middle school and high school. I wish I dug into code more, because I feel like I'd be good enough to like make apps like straight up right now if I like was doing coding in like middle school or high school. But like instead of doing coding, I did like just like straight like purely like graphic design, and I feel like that would have just taken my career into like a whole different path if I did coding.
So any questions?
When you were making like your daily like design thing on your portfolio, what did you use for inspiration?
I used so like my daily challenges, the point of that was just like explore different like design styles, and I wanted to like get out of just using a dribble. So like I was using like Site Inspire, I was using like Behance, I was using like awards. I was using like a bunch of like resources I usually didn't use. So like I feel like that helped me like broaden my like my design ability, instead of just like going for like a dribble design, like the dribble like aesthetic. So that's kind of what inspired me, like those different websites.
Hey, how important would you say coding is in getting like a design job at big companies? Like I know a lot of people have that software background and then go into design. So how important would you say that? If it's important at all.
I honestly don't think it's important like at all. Like I don't think you need to know how to code to like work at like a big company. I feel like it's like a plus. I mean, you should definitely like try to understand like how there's like technical limitations, but I don't think you actually need to like learn how to code or anything like that. It's just like a nice like add-on, honestly, because at like Instagram, there's like people doing like a lot of the code for you. But it is nice to like talk to them and like kind of talk through like technical challenges if you do understand it.
What sort of unconventional career paths have you seen people take to get to where the same space that you're in terms of design jobs?
You said unconventional paths, right?
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, actually, okay. My friend Yannick, he started designing like, when was it? So he started designing for like 1 year. Like he started designing like it was like his sophomore year of college. That's like when he like found out about design, and then like the next year he became a KP fellow, and like it was so weird because like he literally had no experience. He just like straight up like said, "Oh, this design thing is dope. Like, let me learn it." And seeing him do that was just like wild. He's like a whole designer now at next door. Yeah, he like literally just like he had no idea what it was. I think it was like sophomore year or junior year, and just like shoveled into design really quickly. And I think that's like the most unconventional one I've seen. And he's like doing really well. So.
What lessons do you learn from your internship?
Oh, what is the biggest lesson you learned from your internship at Instagram?
The biggest thing I learned was that that's the biggest thing I learned. That's a really hard question. I guess I learned. Oh, okay. The biggest thing I learned is how important showing your designs and prototypes are to people. Like I had like a main project at Instagram, and I literally like got bored one day and designed this entire like new thing, and then I showed like an engineer, and then they started like building it out. And it was just like insane because like I was like an intern, I wasn't like a full-time designer, but like because I showed like a proof of concept that was so like as well executed, they started like actually building it. And that kind of made me realize like if you have like any sort of idea, no matter like what you like how dumb you think it is or like how unfeasible it might be, like just like make it. Like because I mean you can talk all day but like, oh I'm thinking about making this thing, I'm thinking about making this thing, but like until you make it, that's when people are like, oh, okay, like I can see this being a thing. And yeah, just like word of mouth versus like showing actual design and prototype are like two two completely different things. And I think that was like the biggest thing I learned was how powerful it is to like bring your ideas as like prototypes and designs to like people.
That's really good. Go.
Have you ever been hesitant when new opportunities come your way? And if so, how do you overcome that feeling?
Hesitant when new opportunities come my way?
Correct.
Yeah, I mean, I was hesitant with Instagram. So like my Instagram internship, I told them like, like they offered me like an internship after like I applied and everything like that, or like I interviewed, and for some reason I felt like I was like committing way too early, even though like it was like a super dope opportunity. Like I don't know why I even did that like when I did, but like I was like no, like I was like I didn't reject them, but I was like telling them like I'm still looking at other opportunities. And when I told them that, like they put me on the phone with Ian Spalter, which is like the head of design at Instagram, and it was kind of cool because I got to talk to him like for an hour about like design and like life and things like that. But for me, like whenever an opportunity is presented, I like really think about it, and then I really give it thought before like I jump onto something. But what I've been learning is that part about like opportunities. So I think it's like just like nice to jump on them if they have no like downside at all. Like maybe it does take some time, but like if it's sometimes like opportunities are just like some things you have to jump on. But I don't know. I always like hesitate and like just like think before I do that.
Thank you.
No problem.
I have a question. Yeah, what did you learn from Ian?
So the biggest thing I learned from Ian was that he told me early in your design career, you should focus on craft over everything else. Like get good at doing like the design thing at a super, super high level. And that's like the most important thing you can do starting out as a designer. And he was like, yeah, that's something he said he would do if he was like restarting over. So that's what I've been like actively doing right now, is just like focusing on the craft.
What are some major help or mentorship that you received when having the Cofolio?
People just told me just to like keep making. They said like, be careful of just to work. That was the biggest advice, honestly. But like the general advice was that they just told me to keep making and keep solving real problems. And that was like the whole reason why Cofolios even came up, is because like I was solving a real problem. But yeah, I think if it's making money at some point, that's what the mentorship will like. I'll get printed by. But like at this point, I'm just like trying to more value for people.
Can you repeat your answer? It kind of like at some point.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was saying that like pretty much like the mentorship I got was just like keep solving real problems and just keep solving problems, like keep making these like little features and create like leverage within like the design space, because like they've been telling me like I'm in a special position since like I'm a student, so like I have like unique insight to like student problems and things like that. So they just like keep creating value. But if it starts making money someday, like I might be getting like different advice. But yeah, they just been telling me to keep creating and Also be very careful like who I partner with, because partnerships kind of like are like a marriage when you like make like a side project or like a startup. So that's something I'm still like worried about right now. I'm still looking for like someone to help me, but I'm like very cautious with it.